Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. This is The Hit. I am Logan Graffia. He is the fantastic Calvin Rons. And Calvin, I absolutely hate that background, and you know why, but we'll get into that a little bit later. And I'm sure you love my background because we're just hanging out down the street, man. Get it?
Sure.
All right, so let's get into our first topic of the evening, college football. We're gonna just go over some teams that I love. LSU played Georgia in the SEC championship, lost 50-30, and it just looked like LSU was not ready for that stage. It's sad to say, and I was also very upset that Jayden Daniels went out of the game with an ankle injury. He is one tough SOB, Calvin. I mean, to go out there to do the things that he was doing on just basically one leg, got to give it up to him. And I hope to God that he comes back in 2023, regardless of those, I'm going to call him Lamar Jackson as a running back type of people, if you catch my drift. And it was already announced Keishawn Butte's coming back. So give us another season of Jaden Daniels with Keishawn Butte, Brian Kelly, and let's go make a run. But enough about that. My school also played in the playoffs, round two of the playoffs, lost in overtime to Sanford 49-42. Very close, Calvin, very close indeed. And also some big news. Deion Sanders, we were just on the show last week saying, man, he's probably going to leave and go to Colorado. He went. He's going to Colorado. He's taking his sons with him. Travis Hunter was on Twitch, I think, this morning saying, I'm coming, coach, which means he's going to Colorado too. But Dion did say he's going to coach in the Celebration Bowl, which is the Black National Championship in college football. And I hope Shadir plays too. And then after that, they could just sign off after they win. But let's get into the college football playoffs. That's what I really want to talk about, Calvin. The one thing I'm happy about, Bama's not in it. And the college football playoff teams in no order are Georgia, Michigan, TCU, and Ohio State. That actually is the order. I was just going off the top. Do you think they got that order right? If they didn't, why is it not right?
I'm not mad at the order. Honestly, I don't really think it matters at this point. The order. I mean, Georgia's going to run away with this, in my opinion. I don't see any team coming close to beating them currently. Um, but what I want to say is the committee is out of their mind for even trying to sneak Alabama in there. All right, Tennessee beat Alabama, and Tennessee is a one-loss team.
Exactly.
Alabama has two losses, and they didn't even compete in their championship game for their respective conference. And to me, you shouldn't get over anybody if you don't play in your championship game. I don't think championship games, if you're in the top four, and unfortunately, for Ohio State, they just so happen to have to play Michigan, and then what happened to TCU. I feel like you shouldn't be punished for playing in your championship game if you're an undefeated team. I would still put USC over Alabama because they played in the championship game. They lost. It is what it is. But Alabama didn't even get to play in their championship game. They lost to Tennessee, and for some reason they're still ranked above Tennessee, and they're in the same side of the division. That's weird to me. I don't understand that. And you can say strength of schedule, whatever, but I mean, anybody can get beat at any time, and I don't agree with the fact that they even tried to get Alabama in uh, that close. I mean, that was just wild. But I think the order's fine. The order's good. You can argue maybe USC, maybe Tennessee probably deserves that fourth spot. Who knows? But I'm fine with TCU and Ohio State being in there. I know Ohio State didn't play in their championship, but I mean, still, they lost to the number two team in the nation. So at the time, number three. So it's not game breaking, and all these teams have one loss except for Georgia. So and Michigan, but they deserve, all these teams deserve to be in there. But college playoffs going to be 12 games soon anyway, so we won't be arguing about this. I mean, I guess we will be. Who's going to be the 12th spot? But yeah, the order's fine. The order's fine, man.
I absolutely agree. I didn't think Bama deserved to get in. I mean, depending on who you ask, you ask their fans, they think that they should have been in, and if you ask everyone else was like, no, Bama doesn't deserve to get in. Tennessee, they lost to Tennessee and they're ranked above them. I'm still kind of puzzled about that, but we said a few weeks ago on this podcast, I told you my sleeper team in the college football playoffs is TCU. Them losing to Kansas State is shocking, though, but got to give credit to Kansas State. Absolutely love Deuce Vaughn. I have him very high on my draft board, actually. I've had him on my draft board since that Tulane game, actually, that they lost. But got to move on to one more thing. Bowl season is going to be upon us. LSU is going to be playing in the Citrus Bowl, Calvin. And sad to say, your Louisiana Tech Bulldogs won't be in the bowl game this year, which is sad because the last few years y'all have been actually in the bowl game, and I'm sad that y'all won't be in it. If I'm not mistaken, there's only a couple Louisiana teams in bowl games. I want to just say the only two teams, to my knowledge, are LSU in the Citrus Bowl and ULL in Independence Bowl.
And Tulane,
so,
obviously.
Oh yeah, Tulane's gonna be in the Cotton Bowl. I cannot believe I forgot about Tulane.
Hats ranked higher than LSU, by the way.
Yeah, everybody. by one ranking, but hats off to Tulane on a magnificent season this year. Hopefully, they can keep it going next year. So 3 teams in bowls. And before we move on to college, Calvin, I gotta just say, congrats to your teammate Miles for making, I want to say, the East-West Shrine game. If I'm not mistaken, I've seen that. The man he's. I cannot remember his last name, Calvin.
Miles Brooks. Let me tell you about Miles Brooks personally, man. Miles Brooks is an absolute lockdown corner. Now, there's one corner who I will say is the best corner I've ever seen personally in my life up close, and that was Meek Robertson. And as y'all know, I played with Meek back in 2018, 2019, so I know what he's about. This guy is legit. I mean, anytime anybody threw near him, it was a swat. Every time. I mean, he rarely got called for any pass interferences or holdings, and if it was one of those BS ones that's ticky-tack and could have gone either way. The guy's electric right there. He's an absolute lockdown strap. He's not going to give you the big interception per se, but that's because he's swatting the ball down and because he's out there by himself all the time. He never has help. It's just him, and he's doing that. So shout out to Miles, man, and I hope he continues it. And I don't know what he has planned, if he's going to stay or if he's going to elect to go pro. Who knows? But, wish him well in whatever he decides to do.
I absolutely agree. Congratulations to him for making the East-West Shrine Bowl. You would think with him going to the East-West Shrine Bowl that he will turn pro after that. Most college athletes do after going to bowl games like that. Quick little nugget before we move on to the Saints, Calvin. Got to talk about the portal. Today, on December 5th, 2022, everybody was allowed to enter the portal, and we saw a lot of names enter the portal, Calvin. And this portal, it's almost like free agent frenzy. We're just going to call it portal frenzy. I mean, Calvin, what is your take on the whole portal situation now? With NIL and everything else, is it just the highest bidder at this point? Because, we've seen Keaton Slovis just transferred to the portal now. Phil Jerkovich is going to Pittsburgh now from Boston College. What do you think about all this? Is this not just ludicrous?
I think it's interesting. I'm all for, I'm a college athlete, or currently unemployed right now. That's to be determined. But yeah, make it interesting. But nah, it's pretty fun to watch being an athlete. You get to see just how everything shapes up, and now there's a lot of people going in there. And I can tell you right now, just from La Tech, there's I believe over 15 guys that entered the portal so far for us. And I don't think I've ever seen that many in 1 year. And then I think I saw a tweet that said yesterday there were about 300 names in the portal, and today there's over 1,000. And
yeah.
And then if you know the statistic, only 40% of people who's in the portal get to go somewhere else. So it's still a nerve-wracking thing for these guys, but it definitely is the highest bidder. You got a couple weird dynamics going on. You got Slovis there. Cade McNamara, he left. He loses his starting job. He's going to Iowa, I believe. You have all these little dynamics. You got what's happening to all these Jackson State guys. You know, all these top recruits that were going to HBCUs. What are they going to do? They're like, well, hell, we were going to go to Jackson State to go to HBCU, but I mean, there ain't no DEION. So what are we going to do? We're going to go to Colorado. We just going to go do a Power Five, another Power Five school like we are going to do anyway in the first place if there wasn't any DEION anyway. So this is interesting, man. It's power to the students, and we always argue for a long time whether or not college athletes should be getting paid. And now the athletes are getting paid, and now everybody's sitting here questioning it. Like, oh, well, hold on. Like, no, like this is what everybody wanted. This is what we got. And this is a subset. This is a product of what happens when you pay us. We are going to go with the best opportunity that gives us the most money. You know, that goes for anything in life. Jobs, anything. That's just how it is. And look at DEION. He's getting paid more money to go to Colorado, and you see how that's working out. So it's interesting, man. It's interesting, and it's real fun to look at.
Very interesting. I absolutely agree with everything you say. And when it comes to Dion, it definitely must be the money, like in his song that he did back in the day. So moving on, Calvin, and as you can see by my facial expression, I am very upset with this topic, the New Orleans Saints. The game just wrapped up not too long ago. The Saints held a 16-3 lead in the fourth quarter with over 6 minutes left.
5 minutes left to go in the game.
Well, okay, 5 minutes left.
A little over 5, a little under
6.
A
little bit. Let's just round up to 6 minutes to go left in the game. They wound up losing 17-16. They was up 16-3 in the fourth. So we blew a 16-3 lead. And I gotta say, Calvin, there's maybe a little bit of controversy on Twitter of who to blame for this and that. There are some people out there that want to blame Andy Dalton for this. I'm not going to do that. Andy Dalton played terrific tonight. There was a lot of receivers dropping the ball. I mean, Olave dropped the ball. Landry dropped the ball. I mean, Pete Carmichael's play calling was awful. You have Andy Dalton throwing the ball to Taysom Hill on third down. I mean, Taysom caught that touchdown pass early, which was beautiful, but he was wide open. No one was around him, so you would only hope he catches it. But, I mean, making him throw it to Taysom out there in space like that, Calvin, that was a poor decision. I mean, that's not on Andy Dalton. That's just he's got to throw it to him. He's open. I mean, come on now. So I got to say the defense sold us out. Pete Carmichael's play calling with 3 minutes to go in the game was bad. And we might have been able to squeak it out if Ingram would have actually ran for the first, but with his knee issues, he ran out of bounds just slightly before the first down marker. You can only hope he's okay. So, with that, all that being said, I mean, geez, sometimes I'm just a loss for words, and I mean, this whole season I've been a loss for words. I mean, I expected us to be bad, but I mean, this is just pitiful at this point. Calvin, I'm gonna let you have the floor and the mic, and I just want to get your opinion on just the floor is yours. Just give your whole stance, your whole take, everything that you feel. Just tell us how you feel, my man.
So let me see. We're at about 18 minutes in the call. I'm gonna see if I can finish this before 25 minutes. I'm gonna be here for a little bit. I got a lot to say. So, number one, let me start by saying the defense. This is not the defense's fault. The defense held Tom Brady to 3 points up until the 5-minute mark. As far as I'm concerned, that is a successful game. All right. And you held Tom Brady to 17 points total. All right. This is not on the defense at all. I don't care what you say. It's not. Let me tell you who it's on. It's on Dennis Allen and Pete Carmichael. Yes, you can get mad at Chris Olave because he dropped the ball. I'm not mad at that because guess what? Drops happen. It's the way of the sport. Things like that happen. Jarvis Landry drops a touchdown, a probable touchdown. If not touchdown, sets us up for one. But knowing the Saints, we probably would have did a field goal anyway. So you can't get me. I'm not mad at Jarvis. I'm not mad at Chris Olave because, like I said, drops do happen. I'm not mad at Taysom because at the end of the day, Taysom is not a pure wide receiver. I don't expect him to catch the ball when he gets hit hard like that. He's not Michael Thomas. That is a Michael Thomas catch. That is where you wish you had Michael Thomas on the field because Michael Thomas is coming down with that ball 9 times out of 10 every time in most cases. So there's some fundamental issues that I have, and this is the type of game that I I'm happy happened because this is a game on national TV, and it showed to the nation that Dennis Allen is an embarrassment of a coach. And as a byproduct, he embarrassed your team on national TV. And if you have any type of spine, backbone, anything, as a GM, as an owner, you're going to sit here, look in the mirror, and say, I am not trying to get embarrassed on national TV like this ever again. This coach has been sus all year, and this is the game that proves it. This is the type of game that gets you fired because you are up 16-3. You can argue that we honestly should have been up about 24, maybe even 31, 32 points to 3. You go to the red zone 4 times and you end up with 3 points. I mean, and then you have 3 drives that start past the 50. You were starting in Buccaneers territory at the start of 3 drives, and you come out with only 3 points from those drives. Now, Dennis Allen clearly has not learned his lesson from last week, from the weeks prior. Trading field goals for touchdowns, you will lose every time.
Just like in Oakland. Just like he did in Oakland. You can continue, Calvin.
Just like, he has not learned his lesson. And I'm going to tell you right now, Dennis Allen is an absolute weenie of a head coach. I sat here and watched Nick Sirianni, the head coach of the Eagles, up 20 points in the fourth quarter on the Titans, and they're in the Titans' territory, and they went for it on 4th down, up 20. And they ended up scoring a touchdown shortly after because they got the 4th. Now you're sitting here and you're going to tell me you're up 16-3, you're up 10-3, you're up 13-3. You know the quarterback that's on the other team is revered unanimously as the greatest quarterback of all time. And you're going to sit here and you're going to say, I am completely okay with getting field goals and letting him get a chance. To me, I'd rather not score than score 2 field goals on 2 possessions when I'm in Bucs territory, when I am in enemy territory. Because at that point, all the other team has to do is score a touchdown, and they won. That's it. 7 beats 6. That's simple math. So you got play calling like running the ball up the middle with Alvin Kamara on every 1st and 10. And now you're running 2nd and 9 every single time. You're running screen plays with Mark Ingram and not Alvin Kamara. Mark Ingram gets hurt. You know he's hurt, and you put him back out there on a play that should have been out for Alvin Kamara. If Alvin Kamara caught that ball, that is a 1st down because Alvin Kamara is not running out of bounds on that. And I get it. Mark Ingram's hurt. But even then, it's 3rd and 1. It's about 3 minutes left in the game. You're in Bucs territory. To me, this is 4th down territory. I don't care if I'm up 10. I know who's on the other side of the ball. And 5 minutes is a lot of time, especially when both teams have 3 minutes. 3 timeouts. That's essentially a whole quarter. You can drag that out to be a whole quarter. So on 3rd and 1, we decide to run a RPO is what it looked like, and we decide to throw a slant to Marquez Callaway. This is another instance of Pete Carmichael using the wrong personnel. Once again, last week we seen them throw a fade route to, of all people, Taysom Hill, and not Jarvis Landry, and not Chris Olave, who's your best receiver this season. You can even argue throwing it to Marquez Callaway because he's tall. You don't do it, and you throw it to Taysom with a cornerback on him. That's unspeakable. That's unheard of. So on this 3rd and 1 drive, you get an incomplete pass. You punt it. You're on like the 40-yard line, maybe even like the 38-ish. Go for it. You know Tom Brady's going to score a touchdown anyway. Go for it. And then there's another instance. We're on like the 30. We didn't go for it. We kicked the field goal. There was 3 instances where we were in Bucs territory, deep in Bucs territory, and we kick a field goal instead of going for it. We had an opportunity to go score before half because we got a turnover. We won the turnover battle and lost the game. That is how bad of a coach Dennis Allen is. In what world do you know in football where a team wins the turnover battle and they still lose the game?
It doesn't happen quite often, Calvin. Only apparently with Dennis Allen.
And keep in mind, the Saints did not turn the ball over. You don't turn the ball over and you win the turnover battle and you still lose. That is unheard of. That is terrible coaching. That is purely on coaching. And I'm going to tell you right now, it's so funny to me how shriveled up Dennis Allen's nuts are because he doesn't go for it on fourth down at all. And it's wild to me. And I'm sitting there watching the game with my dad, and my dad's sitting here telling me, oh, this is going to be a 17-16 game. He's telling me this beginning of the fourth quarter.
My dad did too.
And the thing I tweeted out on Twitter earlier today was coaching can't be that difficult. Why is it that every Saints fan can call a Saints game and how it's going to go as it's happening, but not the guy who's getting paid to coach the team? We all know. Stop running on second and long up the middle with Alvin Kamara. Stop running on first down up the middle with Alvin Kamara. Start implementing Alvin Kamara in the passing game just a little bit, please. Please go for it at least one time. If you go for it at least one of those times in this game will be different. Before halftime, you get the turnover, and you're supposed to go down there and score a touchdown. Nope, we got a field goal. All right, you get ball at half. You come out here, you score a touchdown. That's a 10-point swing. No, 3 and out because we decided to do the worst 3 play calls back to back to back. So instead of getting 14 points, you get 3 off of two free opportunities. So you look at that, and then once again, not going for it. Not going for it on fourth down has been the absolute demise of Dennis Allen this game. And if this was Sean Payton would have went for it on every single fourth down. I can guarantee it. Because Sean Payton knows the way to win a football game is to score touchdowns and to not trust your defense. Tonight was vintage Jim Moore. If you did not watch the Saints in the Jim Moore era, this was vintage Jim Moore. Sitting here playing to lose. He's playing not to win. He's sitting there chewing the damn clock all game, and he's sitting there saying, hey, field goals are fine because you know what? I trust my defense. I think my defense can win a 3-0 game. No, this is not how the NFL works. That's not how playing against Tom Brady works. You shut Tom Brady down for the entire game, and then on the last drive where you know they need a touchdown, you are giving up every single dink and duck pass you can possibly give up. For what? Bend don't break defense? They get down here with a pass interference because for some reason Paulson Debo is sitting there with no damn safety help.
This is what I'm going to say about all this, Calvin, because then after that, we just got to move on to a much happier topic, which is the Pelicans. This is what I'm going to say. When I was a little kid, I always remembered my parents telling me, be careful what you ask for in life, because when you get it, you might just be disappointed. Everybody, when we was doing the coaching search, was like, oh, let's get Dennis Allen. Let's just promote Dennis Allen. Well, everybody got their wish. I'm guessing it didn't work out because everyone's disappointed with it. Am I wrong, Calvin?
Everybody hates it.
So, in this instance, it's one of those things where be careful what you wish for because you just might get it and you just might hate it. And everybody hates it. That's all I'm going to say. This ain't a I told you so thing or anything like that because I promised I wouldn't do that anymore. But all I'm going to say is what I just said. Be careful what you wish for or what you ask for because you just might get it.
Before we move on, I'm going to tell you right now.
I was going to say, before we move on, Calvin, any final comments on the Saints?
This, like I said before, this is the type of game that you look at the end of the season and you say, this is a fireable offense. This game right here is a fireable offense. You dominate the game the whole game. You win the turnover battle. You dominate time of possession, and you still find a way to lose. And it's not on the players. It's not. The defense played great. Cam Jordan came out here and looked like vintage Cam Jordan minus the sacks. The offense, the receivers kind of sold you a little bit, but this man right here with this stupid smug smile here, I did not watch his press conference, but I swear to God, if he said anything related to, well, the defense didn't hold up, I swear to God, I will throw a brick at him next time I see this man personally. All right? I will sacrifice myself, and I will bring a brick into the Superdome, and I will hurl it as much as I can, and I will try to do like what Tennessee did with Lane Kiffin and throw anything I possibly can at the head coach because this man does not need to be here. Leave him in Tampa. Leave Pete Carmichael in Tampa. The man's play calling is absolutely atrocious. His personnel decisions are terrible. But before I end this, I will say this is I'm glad this is happening. I'm glad this is happening to the Saints. I'm not saying because we deserve it, but because we need to see it. Because you gotta go through these type of things to learn what not to do moving forward.
Yeah, and what not to do is keeping Dennis Allen as the head coach going forward.
Exactly.
And the crazy thing is, I was watching the game with my dad too, and he was saying all the same things your dad was saying. He was like, "You kind of want us to lose. I mean, you got to, right?" I'm like, "Why is that?" Because you want the guy fired. We got to
One on
get this
fire.
guy. We want him fired. So
Him beating Tampa Bay in 2021 was the reason why he got the job. I guarantee it. So if he would
I
have beat Tampa
guarantee
Bay
it.
here in Tampa, oh yeah, he's back next season.
You can only hope Eric Bieniemy is our coach next year, or somebody that's offensive minded. But anyway, moving on, we got to go to the final topic of the evening: the New Orleans Pelicans. Calvin, just this last game, Jose Alvarado, undrafted free agent out of Georgia Tech, ACC Defensive Player of the Year. Good God, that man almost had 40 points, Calvin.
Yeah, if Zeke Naji wasn't such a big hater, he would have had 40.
Actually, Jose had a chance. He drove to the basket and he missed.
Zeke
That was
Naji
on him.
decided to just block it, just send it. Like, all right, dog. Like that's you see.
Hey, he got 38. I mean, gotta say, I mean, Bi's been out these 4 games. CJ's still trying to get his legs back beneath him with his recovering from COVID. So we're gonna give CJ some time to get his legs back because I know how that COVID stuff feels and it doesn't feel good. It takes you a while to get like your wind back and your normalcy back, so to speak. So CJ will get it back together soon. He's a professional, but these 4 games without Bi, I mean, we have not lost a single one, and I mean, Bi is supposed to be coming back apparently with some braids. He's gonna bring the braids back. Apparently, that might be. He might. That's Bi as an assassin. I mean, good guy, Calvin. I'm excited, but going off the Nuggets game, this last one against the Nuggets, it looked a little grim at first because it looked like Joker was getting everything easily, and then all of a sudden, I don't know what it was. They just put Willie Herman Gomez in on Joker, and it changed everything. And then, of course, Jose Alvarado just coming in, not missing from three helps. And then, of course, you have Zion. I mean, Xanos. I mean, everything just came alive. And you have Trey doing tomahawk donks back to back. That was just so nasty. You can smell it. I mean, with that win, the Pelicans are now second in the Western Conference. Second. I mean, it's kind of hard not to laugh at those guys that's in 12th place in the Western Conference right now, right, Calvin? It's kind of hard not to laugh at those guys.
Oh, whoa, gee, they're so quiet. They're not talking about we're winning now. I don't care. I mean,
Yes.
congratulations. I mean, yeah.
Congratulations.
What
I
you
mean,
saying? 12 seed. I don't hear you, bud. I don't.
we can't hear you. We all the way up here. Y'all all the way down here. So, anyway.
Congratulations on your win against the Pistons. Good job.
So, with all that being said, I mean, Calvin, do you think this team is turning the page? I mean, I mean, it looked a little bleak at first. I mean, we started seeing some injuries go down, and now, I mean, Zion's healthy, CJ's back. I mean, you got to be honest. I mean, do you think we go like? I'm not saying we're going to go on like that 33 game win streak that the Miami Heat during the LeBron days went on, but or I mean, that was the Showtime Lakers. I mean, Calvin. I mean, what do you make of all this? I mean, I'm all giddy over here because I don't even know what to say anymore. Because I mean, I'm just so darn happy that our basketball team, our Pelicans, look this damn good. I mean, what do you make of all this, Calvin?
Like, man, it's nice to see. It's nice to see that we traded. We went to the planet where the Soul Stone is, and we decided to throw the Saints off of a cliff to sacrifice them for the Pelicans being good, aka that's our Soul Stone. We're a basketball city now, guys, because the Saints just don't understand how to win games anymore. But in all seriousness, though, we deserve it. All right, I don't want to be that guy, but Pelicans fans deserve it. Pelicans/Hornets fans, we deserve it. We have been mediocre for a very long time, and we still have a lot of basketball left, but this is a good sign. It's a good sign when injuries happen, you have guys that step up from the bench. I mean, 38 from your bench point guard is amazing. And then Willie Hernangomez had a terrible game against Jokic last time we played him last year. He came back this year and he said, I just won EuroLeague MVP. I'm gonna show you
I was
something.
just about to bring that
I'm,
up.
I'm gonna show you something. All right, Jokic. I'm the EuroLeague. I'm the best player in Europe, not you. All right, so he went out there. He showed him what it was. So shout out to Willie. He should have been Bo Cruz. Shout out to his brother though. Um, but man, it's really encouraging to see the team step up, and the team is having fun. This team is having fun. They're having fun just being around each other, and it also brings me up to a question I keep asking myself: is this team low key better when there is one of the big three down? Because I've seen on multiple occasions now, if Zion is down, Bi and CJ are in rhythm. When CJ's down, Bi and Zion are in rhythm. If Bi's down, then CJ and Zion are getting the job done. It makes me wonder, how would this team react consistently if we have all three of those guys eating? Because there is a lot, when you add each one of these guys, you're putting essentially a guy who should get you 20 points back into the rotation. So now that's taking ball from somebody else who's averaging 20 plus. So I think when Bi comes back, you might see a little rough edge a little bit because you're gonna have to try to figure out how to feed all these guys again. But once we figure that out, we're gonna be straight. But it is nice that this team wins when one of these guys are down. Really, two of them, because CJ is just playing terrible. I mean, the guy's averaged 7 this last game. He got 5 the game before that, and I get he's coming off of sickness. But I mean, man, and Trey Murphy and Jose, talk about hitting an absolute corner. Those guys, you can tell, were in the gym all off season long. Those are guys that you want. I have not seen anybody. Well, I haven't seen as many bench guys and depth guys work as hard as our bench and depth guys to be good because they care. We have not seen that. Usually, players just don't care. Like we had Eric Gordon sitting here saying, "I don't want to be here." Like we had guys like that. You know,
The last basketball team, not New Orleans wise, that you can just go straight to your bench and not miss a beat was probably that 2015, 2016 Warriors team where, you know, the whole starting five would go to the bench and that second group that was led by Sean Livingston would come in and they wouldn't skip a beat. It just so happens, if I'm not mistaken, Willie Green was on that staff. It makes perfect sense. I mean, I love Sean Livingston. I was kind of hoping that when Willie came over here that he'd bring Sean Livingston with him, but Sean Livingston retired, of course. But it goes to show you how much Willie Green learned when he was an assistant coach under people like Steve Kerr. And I want to say he might have even been with the 76ers for a little bit as a coach. Don't quote me on that. I might be completely wrong on that. And it goes to show you what he learned. I mean, he was on the bench next to Steve Kerr, Mike Brown, if I'm not mistaken. He might have been there when Alvin was there too. I mean, he learned things from all the coaches that he's probably played for. I mean, he played under Monty. That's who it was. It wasn't the Sixers. It was the Suns. Excuse me on that, you guys. He learned from Monty. He learned from Steve Kerr. You look at this team, it's kind of like a mixture in a bowl of like a little bit of Warriors over here and a little bit of like the Suns over here, and you're mixing them together, and you got the Pelicans right now.
You got Monty Williams' defense with Steve Kerr's offense. That's
That's exact. I mean, that you couldn't ask for nothing more. I mean, the 3-point shooting, we haven't seen this kind of 3-point shooting from the Pelicans since, that playoff series when we had AD and Nico Mirotic just raining threes on the Trailblazers in 2017, all those years ago.
Shout out CJ. He know what that felt like.
Yes, I'm sure he's glad he's over here now. But it's just amazing. I mean, the page that the Pelicans are turning, Calvin, because I mean, just the last year we were starting 3-16, and now we're second in the Western Conference right now in December.
And the Suns just lost tonight, and we play them next, so we could potentially tie for first. I think
if we win Friday, we could probably take the first spot, Calvin. Then after, I mean, when's the last time? I think the last time. Oh, let's see. A New Orleans team was first in the Western Conference. Might have been.
Had to be 08.
It had to be the 2007-08 season. It had to be because that's our best team ever with 56 wins.
I think we may have topped out at like 3, like highest.
I mean, I don't see this Pelicans team getting the first seed, but I mean, if we do, then sky's the limit, Calvin.
I mean, this to me is a sustainable way to play because it's not like we're hot from shooting. We are just making winning plays. We're limiting turnovers. Trey Murphy, Dyson Daniels, Jose Alvarado. And when Herb Jones come back, those guys are so active on the defensive end. They're so intelligent on the defensive side of the ball. It really makes life so much easier for Brandon Ingram, CJ, and Zion. All guys who are very questionable on defense. Well, Brandon Ingram's a little bit better now. But all those guys, they can now focus on offense. And Zion has slowed the game down for himself now, which is what I've been waiting on. He gets the ball, and he doesn't immediately just start dribbling hard and start trying to crash the paint immediately. No, he's sitting there, he's doing a couple dribble moves, he's looking, seeing what he got, he attacks his angles correctly, and then when he knows he drives in, he knows he's going to get about 3-4 defenders in there. So guess what? Somebody is open. Somebody's going to be open. And all it takes is just making the pass, and for whoever it is out there, Najee sitting in the corner, CJ, BI, whoever, just to make the shot. And Jose made the shot. You got Zion, who, I think Zion had about 23 potential assists last game. I mean, that's extreme efficiency.
His passing has improved. His passing has definitely improved.
That's Jokic type creation right there, offense creation. That's really what it is. And Michael Malone said it after the game. Zion is an unstoppable force. You cannot guard him. You can put 5 guys on him. You cannot stop him. That's how impossible he is. And
you can build a wall around him. And, I mean, I've seen it. They build a wall around him. He'll drive, and the next Jose, Trey, CJ, somebody's open in the corner, and then it's knocked down. I mean, Zion is so close to getting triple-doubles every game. It's not even funny. He's averaging 8 assists through these last 4 games, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, he could have
when BI comes here. It should.
When BI gets. I mean, I don't know if you're gonna do point Zion when BI gets back, but I mean, when BI gets back, you can just figure that out. I mean, it's just plug and play. And then when Herb comes back, I mean, do you put Trey back on the bench? You probably do. I mean,
I don't know. I'd argue not. Trey Murphy has been giving you just slightly under the level of defensive capabilities that Herb can get you, but the offense, man, Trey Murphy has the prettiest shot in basketball. All right, this shot never, when he makes it, it never touches rim. It's bottom of the net every single time. The net barely moves. It's a beautiful shot. His catch and release technique is bar none. I mean, the guy's technique and mechanics are just they're just so beautiful. But man, I think the one thing I will say that Willie Green has to make sure he figures out, and he has to stop. I do not want to see any ISO ball with CJ McCollum anymore unless we absolutely need to. And when BI gets back, we have to make sure he doesn't do too much ISO ball, because this team works so much better and so much more fluid when everything is moving at a nice pace and not being stopped by someone getting the ball, dribbling, and trying to do all these dribble moves. You see Jose try to do it, and he passes the ball out. He runs around, resets, gets the ball back, things like that. We've seen it with CJ. CJ gets the ball, dribble until 9 seconds left on the shot clock, and now we're like, hey, we got to do something. Nothing's happening. He shoots a contested midi. Like, we've seen it. So I think Willie Green just has to limit that. Jackson Hayes is out the door. I mean, the guy just is bad at basketball. I think at this point now you have to start playing with the idea of maybe CJ coming off the bench if he continues to play like this. Because even before he was sick, he was playing pretty bad. So
he was sick during the Chicago run. I remember saying they said he had the flu, and now he gets COVID. I mean, this is bad. First you get the flu, now you have COVID. I mean, that can't be good on the human body, Calvin. I mean, that's got to be a toll. So
I mean,
I'm going to cut the guy some slack. I'm going to be honest with you. I mean, I've had the flu before, and I've had COVID before too, but not back to back like that. And I mean, geez, that's got to be awful. So I'm going to cut CJ some slack, man.
Even then, I think it's a freaky way of doing basketball, because when BI and Zion on the court, I think that those two can give you enough offense for you to confidently. And I think, like, if Jose can continue just shooting, obviously he's not going to continue shooting the way he was. I mean, 8 for 11 from 3 is a little nuts, or 9 for 12, wherever he was. It's a little nuts. Can't expect that every game. But if Jose can give you just a smooth little 10 points, I think you can start playing with maybe Dyson starting to come and start, or Jose starting, and then having CJ run your bench unit. That don't sound too bad to me because Jose and Dyson, they add so much more on defense than CJ does. And CJ's playmaking just is not good enough to me to even say like, all right, I want him as the starting point guard. Um, so I think you have to play around that because right now we have a lot of guys who can run point. Really, Zion can do it, Bi can do it, CJ can do it, Jose can do it, Najee's done it, even though I don't like him doing it, but he's done it. Um, Man, the team is just so fluid and so positionless. Like that's what makes it so beautiful about this team. Like everybody can play everywhere. And then you got guys like Willie who doesn't play most games come out and be good. Like that's how deep we are. It's amazing to see. So, but I think the team's starting to be ready, man. Yes, we're hitting that corner. This is it. This is where we go on the run right here.
I'm very, very excited. I really, really am. I mean, sometimes I'm just speechless on certain things, and right now the Pelicans, I'm speechless. I mean, I knew we was gonna be good, but I mean, I didn't think. I mean, I am just speechless in a good way because I've loved this team since they moved here. I mean, they represent a city that I live just 20, 30 minutes from. I mean, I'm just speechless in a good way. I have nothing else to say about the Pelicans because I mean, you touched on all of it. But the one thing I will say is I'm gonna, cut CJ some slack because I know how all that feels, and I think CJ will be back to his, 20 points per game or 18 to 20 points per game self very soon. I mean, we're not even in the we're not even in January yet, so I give him a few games. I mean, maybe against the Suns you'll see vintage CJ. We just don't know. So with that being said, we are at the wrap up portion of the show, Calvin. Is there anything that we did not touch on that you need to talk about? The floor is yours just for a brief moment.
Um, all the people who are upset at Dion, I think, need to reevaluate. Yeah, I mean, it sucks considering what he did for the HBCUs in Jackson State, but he laid the foundation and the blueprint perfectly. Now, any former player who's a Hall of Famer, any amazing black coach, anybody who wants to come in and be a head coach for an HBCU team or a SWAC team or whatever, you can follow what Dion did to a T, and you will probably get the same results in terms of, I'm not going to say winning games, but in terms of changing the culture, getting more money and income into these schools. And Dion did a lot of his own money into investing into Jackson State. But Dion, this whole time, wanted to be a serious head coach. And you also got to remember, he is taking all of his assistants with him. I just read that Willie Taggart of FAU is going with him. All of his assistants are going with him. FAU's director of football operations, he's going with Dion.
Charles
Dion,
Kelly too.
yep, that's right. And Dion is bringing. It's not about him. Dion is bringing all these black coaches who were stuck in the SWAC and HBCUs for a long time, who were good coaches. He's now bringing them to Power Five, Group of Five, whatever. I think they're Power Five team, and I think you'll start to see more black coaches now going in. So I think you have to look at the bigger picture here. Don't be upset about Dion. Be happy that he did that for the school because I think he did change. He was there long enough to say that he's changed HBCUs forever. And I hope that all these other coaches is coming in to HBCUs can continue that blueprint because it's not just about Dion. Dion could have been there for 40 years. He could have been the next Eddie Robinson. Doesn't matter because if no other coach is going to do it, it doesn't matter. You have to have everybody else elevate with you. So I'm not mad at Dion. No one should be mad at Dion. This is the way college football works, and this is the way it's always worked. And I get it. People are mad that he said you get elevated or terminated, and oh, is it really elevating if you go to Colorado, who's won like 3 games in like 3 years? I mean, arguably, but Colorado gets more money than Jackson State. That's just how it is. So don't be mad. Be happy it happened. Congratulations to Dion on the job, and I hope that he is successful in everything that he does.
Well, Calvin, I can't help but agree with everything that you just said. I am absolutely happy that Dion got another job. I mean, I loved everything that he did at Jackson State. So I hope he could turn Colorado around. And man, I really hope Shadur Sanders, his son, who's going to be the quarterback there, is in maybe the Heisman Trophy convo soon. He's a really good quarterback. And the one thing I want to say is that I know I probably touched on it earlier in the college football section of the show. I don't get all the hate for Jayden Daniels. LSU went 9-3. He was 65% of the offense. He scored 65% of the touchdowns, either through the air or on the ground. And I remember I said in the show earlier that those people that are hating on him are the same ones that when Lamar was coming out of college, or some of those scouts called Lamar Jackson a running back. Hey, would you be interested in switching to running back? You know what I'm getting at, right, Calvin? I'm not even gonna say it, but you know what I'm getting at.
We know. We know.
Yes, we know. I mean, I'm not comparing Jayden Daniels to Lamar Jackson. Believe you me, no one is Lamar Jackson. I'm not doing that. I'm comparing the wording or
The archetype is what
the
people say he needs to make the switch. That's
right.
usually how it
That
works.
that's what that's what I'm trying to compare it to. So those same people are the same ones that are not liking Jayden Daniels, and I'm just so puzzled as to why. I'm like, we were winning games with them. I mean, from the Florida game to even the Bama game, we don't win those games without Jayden Daniels as quarterback. Everyone is out here saying, "Oh, we need Nussmeier because he throws, 50-yard bombs, 60-yard bombs." Well, that doesn't always win you games. Here's what I will compare Jayden Daniels to. He is a much more mobile Desmond Ritter in this offense. I can say that. Why? Because Mike Denbrock came from Cincinnati and he just had Desmond Ritter as his quarterback, and that's the same identical offense that we're running. I mean, I know we have fantastic receivers, and everyone these days loves 50-yard bombs every freaking play, but that's not how football works. It really doesn't. I mean, short, medium games, that's how quarterbacks in the NFL, like, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, Kurt Warner, even Tom Brady, have destroyed teams for years. I am not comparing Jayden Daniels to those guys at all. I love Jayden Daniels to death, but he is not those guys. I'm comparing the type of quarterback that he is. Short, medium game. You can kill teams with that. And we have. You don't need to throw it 50 yards down the field every time. Like I said, Drew Brees from '06 to 2020 killed teams on the short intermediate game. Doesn't
Hey,
have to be deep.
the man got 80,000 passing yards doing
80,000
short
yards,
and
just
intermediate game.
exactly. You could win games, and we have. LSU, if they would have performed well against Texas A&M, they would have been ranked fifth, and we might have still got beat by Georgia. We probably would have, but hey, come on, you got to drop the Jane Daniels hate. You got to.
Also,
Everyone's over.
just real quick, Keyshawn Butte is coming back.
Yep. Yep.
Just real quick before you continue, I saw a couple people in one of my group chats talking about Keyshawn was stupid for coming back. No, he's actually extremely intelligent for coming back because he tanked his draft stock completely this season, being a bum. That's not fair for me to say. He just wasn't good this season. He tanked his draft stock, so he really had no other choice. You went from potentially being a first rounder, maybe a second rounder, to probably being sixth, seventh, maybe even undrafted, maybe fourth if a team wants to reach on you. So I'm glad he's coming back because that was the only and right decision for him. Yes, he could get injured, or yes, he could have another stinker of a season, but it doesn't matter anyway because if he sucks again, then guess what? That would have been the same result as it would have been if he would have came out in the draft this year. He ain't going out in the first. He's going to go out in the late round. He's going to screw himself out of millions of dollars anyway. So come on back. You look at yourself in the mirror, realize and say, hold on, I am not that guy who I thought I was. And let me just step back and realize my true self. And let me come out here and ball out. So hopefully he balls out next year with Jayden Daniels. And I
So
think
yeah, I think we'll see Jane Daniels back next year. I know there's those LSU fans out there that don't want Jaden back, but let me just say this: I am like 95% sure he will be back, and when he does well, I'm gonna sit here and say you're not allowed to cheer for him when we win because that little love hate thing y'all got going, I don't like it, not at all. So with that being said, Calvin, we got to go. We are a little bit over time, so I am Logan Graffia. He is Calvin Rons. This has been another great edition of The Hit.